Right, so we're going to talk about Miss Marvel. I know I'm a bit late on this. The show finished on Wednesday. It's now Friday, so I'm late to getting my thoughts out and my kind of reaction to this show, because it's twofold. I want to talk about the stuff that I didn't like first, so that I can end the video on all of the positive notes, because unlike Moon Knight and unlike other MCU shows, this one does have more positives than negatives. But my kind of niggles with the show, overall I liked it. Overall I do really like Miss Marvel. I feel like it gets the character, it gets the tone quite well. The lead, I'm not quite sure how to pronounce her name, so I'm not gonna try and probably butcher it. So I know it's Iman something, but I feel like she does a really good job, and apparently this is her first acting role in anything ever. And for a first role, an MCU TV show, a Marvel thing in general, is huge. To get that as your first big thing, that's a huge tick on the resume. But also, she does an amazing job for being fairly inexperienced in the whole acting thing and being pushed into this like lead superhero role. I feel like she gets it right. She's not like she doesn't come off as annoying. She doesn't come off like wooden, or she feels like a three-dimensional character. And she also just feels like Kamala. And because it's an unknown actress or a not a popular actress, you don't see other roles that she's done. You see Kamala Khan, and that's probably going to hurt her career in the long run, because you're going to watch other things that she's in, because she's going to be in other things. She's talented enough to get loads of work. But you're gonna watch other movies with her in it, and you're going to be like, hey, that's Kamala Khan. And that might be a problem, but it's a Disney Plus show. I haven't heard that much talk about it outside of the YouTube spheres that I'm in. I haven't heard that many people outside of like comic book YouTubers, and I haven't even seen Jeremy Johns talk about this, but he hasn't talked about many of the MCU Marvel shows. But I'm going to start off with my niggles. My niggles and my complaints are the power change. I don't get it. I don't get the reasoning for it, and they do the same things. By the end of the show, it does the same thing. It just, I assume it was cheaper, but also so in the comics, Miss Marvel is basically Mr. Fantastic. She has the powers of Mr. Fantastic. She's got stretchy limbs, and she can do the embiggen thing. If you play Marvel's Avengers, you probably know this, and you know the lightest stuff to know about Miss Marvel. That's basically my only real like introduction to the character. My only real like knowings of the character is from that game. So going to this, where her powers are completely changed to the point where she's basically just Green Lantern, I don't understand the choice, and it makes her character, it makes certain scenes that would have been cool, it makes her more powerful than she is in the comics, and it makes for more interesting visuals, I guess, but you can do interesting things with the elasticity powers. See, that's where it's twofold, and it also We don't have the scenes, which I don't know if they would be able to get away with this, but there's scenes in a early Miss Marvel comic where she turns herself into a white girl. She makes herself look like Carol Danvers, and she learns from that she doesn't need to change her skin and change her appearance to be accepted. She just needs to find people that will accept her, or she changes her skin tone when she is a superhero, and then changes back to basically become to not, fade into what people already know, but become a signal for people, Muslims and brown girls, and basically be like, hey, I can be their superhero, and that is an important part of Kamala's character that this show kind of glosses over or doesn't really go into. There's like a throwaway line, but there's not really much that the show goes into really about that. I don't know if it's because Disney were like, we can't really have a brown girl turning herself white in our kids show, because that's what this show is. I feel like it's definitely aimed at a younger audience, with some of the tonal things and definitely the color, but also this show is a lot brighter than most other MCU shows, which I like, and it gets the tone of Miss Marvel's character and Miss Marvel in the comics to a T. It's bright, it's colourful, it's got that tone that really works with Miss Marvel more than any other character in the MCU, I feel like. Because this show is basically, for the first 2 episodes, it's a comedy, and then it becomes a drama for the last half, and I feel like that's where it kind of goes downhill for me. The villains are not very developed. The damage control people from No Way Home are back, and the main agent is okay, but the one that's actually following Kamala, there's no character there. She's not a character. She's just, we've got to get these superheroes, and you can only watch so many shows with that kind of character archetype before it becomes annoying, or before it becomes, a bit of a cliche at that point. But I feel like Kamala, Bruno's amazing. Bruno's best character. Cameron, all of the main characters, Kamala's family, everyone that's like a main character that gets a lot of the screen time does really well. It's only really the villains, or the antagonists of the show, that are just kind of paper thin when it comes to their personalities and stuff. There's not really much. You don't get much reason to root for them. They're just something for Kamala to fight, and something for Kamala to run away from most of the time. I do think that the final episode is really emotional, with like the final, like, not really fight, but the final like conflict between Miss Marvel and between Kamala and Cameron. The way that goes out is really cool, and then you have this scene where everyone like crowds around Kamala to stop damage control from arresting her. That's a really well done scene as well. And yeah, I just really liked most of this show. The 2 episodes in the middle, episodes 4 and 5. 4 and the first half of 5. They do the same thing that Moon Knight does, but to a lesser degree. They just have a couple episodes where Kamala goes to Pakistan and she learns about what happened during a certain event in Indian history, and then she gets transported back in time to kind of reunite her grandmother, who is at that time like 4 or 5, and take her to this train. I thought it kind of got a bit crazy, but it does tighten up by the finale, and it does, get good again. But those episodes 4 and 5 are kind of the weak point of the show. But like I said, it doesn't do that for long enough to get out of it. And you obviously still have, Kamala being as charming and likable as she is, and the charm of Kamala kind of keeps you entertained and keeps you watching the show, no matter how bland and kind of cookie cutter everything else around her seems to be. Kamala is still, very likable, and you want to see more of her. And I'm glad that she's gonna get more stuff to do and more stuff to see of her in the Marvels and stuff like that. I genuinely am excited to see her interact with Captain Marvel, interact with Monica Rambeau, even though there's probably not going to be much of a dynamic there. It would be interesting still to see what her reaction is to Kamala and anyone else that's going to be in that movie. I don't know who else is going to be in that movie, but I assume it's just Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and Monica Rambeau for now, I assume. But yeah, I really liked this show. I liked a lot of the things that it did. It felt right for the character. It didn't feel... The change of powers didn't detract too much from the show, and didn't detract too much from, the character of Kamala herself. The CG is still a bit scuff in places. I talked about the final episode and how I felt like the acting and the scenes and the structure was on point, but the CG was plain bad in that. It felt like you were watching a video game cutscene and not a modern day video game cutscene. It felt like something from the Matrix Reloaded or something like that. A PS2 game. It felt or an early PS3 game. It didn't feel good. It was about the same level of quality as the end fight between Colossus and Juggernaut in Deadpool 2. It was basically stop motion. But I feel like the strength of the characters and the strength of the main characters and the chemistry between Kamala and Bruno, Kamala and Cameron, the parents, the chemistry that all of these characters have is something that plays for the strength of the show. And I feel like that's what makes the show ultimately a recommend. Ultimately, I would say this is something that, you're going to have to watch anyway, because every Marvel thing, if you're a Marvel fan, you have to watch everything, because everything's important. Fucking multiverse of madness. Everything's important. But yeah, I feel like this is one of those ones that you're going to watch, and it's an enjoyable watch. It's not like something like Moon Knight, where Moon Knight was... I know some people like that show, and if you like it, more power to you. I've read a Moon Knight comic, so I know what the character is, and that show is not what the character is. So that felt like a watch out of necessity and a watch out of, doing this and, watching every other Marvel thing. It felt like something that I was doing for a job, and it felt like a job watching that show. It didn't feel fun. But it genuinely felt fun to watch, and that's all I can ask for out of these Marvel movies now, out of these superhero movies. If I have fun watching it, if I walk out having chuckled, having belly laughed, having enjoyed an action sequence, feeling an emotion. If a movie makes me feel an emotion, or if a show makes me feel emotion, I take that as a win. The Batman made me feel uncomfortable, so it's a win. No Way Home made me laugh, made me cry, made me, shit my pants in absolute, awe, and, it made me feel a whole gambit of emotions, to be honest. Thor Love and Thunder made me belly laugh. Multiverse of Madness made me feel confused and what the fuck is going on, and why is everyone so stupid? Black Widow made me feel absolutely nothing. Shang-Chi made me feel absolutely nothing, which is weird that I've got a poster of Shang-Chi. I got that from the cinema because it's a cool visual, but the movie made me feel nothing. This made me feel, and if a movie or show makes me feel, then that's a win in my book. That's a massive tick, and I would go as far to say as this is up there with Hawkeye and Falcon and Winter Soldier as my favourite Disney Plus MCU show. I genuinely really like this. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would, because Miss Marvel's show, I'm not a big fan of the character from the comics, but I think I might be now. I think I might like Kamala. I certainly like this version of Kamala, and I certainly like, sorry, my leg's going all over the place. I keep knocking my table. I certainly like the world, the MCUification of Kamala, and I'm not big on her powers, but if they continue like how the show ends off, then I'm interested. And there is a little thing at the end. I'm going to go into spoiler details. I know the whole video has been spoilerific, but spoiler details about the not quite after credit scene, because the actual after credit scene is just, hey, Brie Larson's here now. What do you frickin' do? We all like her, don't we? No, this is the better Miss Marvel. This is the better Marvel, the better character that's named after the company that created the character. This one's the good one. Could be good with a better director. She's a good actress. She just is mental sometimes. So, but yeah, fingers crossed that movie's good. Hopefully it's more Love and Thunder than Multiverse of Madness. I want it to be good, man, because I think Kamala's good, and you translate a good character into a movie with a good character and we'll see. There's more good than we'll see. We'll see who the villain is. But yeah, it's the other not quite end credit scene that I want to talk about, where Bruno's like, hey, I did some more tests. It's not just the bracelet. You might have a mutation. And it's like, mutants? Mutants? I mean, we already had Mr. Fantastic, who's not a mutant, but he is a Fox character. And he was in Multiverse of Madness. Spoilers for Multiverse of Madness if you haven't seen it. You've seen it. If you're watching this video, you've seen it. You have a Disney Plus account. You've seen Multiverse of Madness. You may not have liked it, but you've seen it. But yeah. Is she a mutant? Is mutation another way of saying inhuman? I don't care, really. I don't think it matters either way. We have had Inhumans in the MCU because, spoilers for Multiverse of Madness again, Black Bolt's in that. So, and it is the one from the Inhumans TV show, so if they bring in the Inhumans, and if, you know, season 2 of Miss Marvel is her going to Attilan meeting Black Bolt, meeting Medusa, you know, you can bring those characters from that show into the MCU. I feel like that could work, because, you know, it's a good cast. It's just that show had so many bad things happen. And I feel like the Inhumans can't really do a TV show, and they can't really do a movie. They are, you know, they're side characters. They're not the main story. The main story is the Fantastic Four find the Inhumans. The Hulk goes to the Inhumans. You know, the Inhumans fight the X-Men. The Inhumans fight the Avengers. The Inhumans fight the Eternals. You know, the Inhumans will always have to be with something else for them to be interesting. And throwing them in the Miss Marvel show, or like doing a show about a specific Inhuman, like Black Bolt, a Black Bolt led show with the Inhumans coming in as like team up characters. Or do, you know what would be great? You know what would be amazing, perfect even. You know what would be the best thing to do for Disney Plus, and the thing that they really should, you know, knuckle down on, is there's so many characters in the MCU now, and now that everyone's forgotten that Spider-Man exists, or forgotten that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, why don't you do a Marvel team-up show? Why, you know, What If is a show now? Why don't you do a live-action Marvel team-up show? It would be a good way to put in low-level shit villains, you know, like Boomerang, the Tinkerer. You can bring back old villains as well, like Whiplash, Justin Hammer, you know. Have Spider-Man just go around the Marvel Cinematic Universe, teaming up with characters, or just have characters team up with each other. Maybe it doesn't always have to be Spider-Man, or maybe once you do your Fantastic Four movie, maybe have the Marvel team-up show be The Thing going out and doing his own thing. Because I know The Thing was like, there was a Marvel team-up with Spider-Man that lasted a while, and then there was a Thing one that lasted for less time, but I feel like that character might be more interesting and has less play everywhere else. So give him a Disney Plus show, let him team up with other characters, and show the world. You know, you don't have to have it like strictly with characters that have already been introduced. It can be an easy way to introduce characters like Black Knight. Well, you've already introduced Black Knight in Eternals. I've just completely forgotten everything about that movie. I have a poster here of the Eternals that's on my desk that I just completely forget that I own, so I haven't put it up yet. But I feel like that's the show that you do. Marvel team up. Do it, Marvel. Do it, Disney. Well, Disney Plus. It would be a better success than fucking Loki. And that's the one that's got a confirmed season 2. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what Miss Marvel, what you think of this show, what you think of Miss Marvel. And let me know in the comments below what you think of my Marvel team up, or Marvel 2-in-1 pitch sounds like to you. What do you think of a Marvel team up Disney Plus show? Either live action or animated, I don't care. I like the idea of it being live action, but maybe to maybe because it would be easier to budget, do animated. And it doesn't need to be in continuity, but it would be nice if it was in continuity and it was like in the interim of a certain movie. So it doesn't have to be big stories. It can be just, you know, just like fun team up things of like Spider-Man and a character, or the Thing and a character, or the Thing and Johnny Storm doing stuff, or, you know, just this character teams up with that character, or this character teams up with this character, you know. And make it fun, make it something that we haven't seen before. Like Spider-Man teams up with Nebula, or like Star-Lord teams up with fucking Loki, or you know, Valkyrie teams up with Ant-Man, or something like that, or Thor teams up with fucking I'm trying to think. Thor teams up with Drax for like a thing. Just Thor and Drax, like no one else. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below to all the questions that I asked earlier. See you guys in the next one. Peace!